Okay.
Could you introduce yourself first?
Sure. My name is Dave McClure, and I work for Founders Fund, which is a venture capital firm in San Francisco, California.
Yeah. During the whole day of the GCAN playing event, I want to know what do you learn from Chinese market?
I've learned there's a lot of really smart entrepreneurs building very big businesses in China. I'm still learning about the Chinese market, so maybe a lot of things to learn. But in particular, just growth rates and adoption of Chinese audience are very substantial. And also, I think the state of learning around monetization in games and virtual currency is pretty phenomenal compared to where we're at in the U.S. right now.
Yeah. Why do you attend the event?
Well, I mean, I put the event together, but I think I put the event together so that I could also learn about the markets in Asia and what the entrepreneurial culture is like here, and how we can do some communication with entrepreneurs from the U.S. With those in China. And hopefully we learn from each other and maybe take some good things away from that.
Okay. What's the difference between Chinese and Japanese and United States? I mean, the tech center.
I think there's a lot of differences. I think the Japanese market, at least online, is a little bit more static, although it's already fairly large. So, maybe most of 100 to 120 million users already online and spending a fair amount of money. But the entrepreneurial culture in Japan is maybe not as developed as I think it could be. I think there's really strong potential opportunities for more internet entrepreneurship in Japan that might come both from cultural change as well as financial access and support. In China, I think there's a very strong entrepreneurial culture, and the market is developing quite rapidly. So you have a lot of change happening very quickly. And in the U.S., I think there's probably very strong support and infrastructure for building internet businesses, but maybe not quite as much sort of change and rapid adoption of users as in China.
What's your most successful investment in your track record?
Well, I'm fairly new to investment, so I would say that it's probably still. I've been doing investing for about 5 years, probably 4 years personally and 1 year professionally. So I've invested or advised about 20 startups personally, and then in the past 7 or 8 months, I've probably put money into about 10 startups professionally. But most of the methodology and theory that I've been developing is really relatively new. It's just over the last year or two.
How do you use your metrics?
A lot of times I haven't convinced the entrepreneurs to use it yet, so it's still a process that I'm convincing them is worthwhile. So in spite of all the things that I've talked about, sometimes it still takes a while to convince the entrepreneur that they should change the way they think about their businesses.
Okay, what kind of company could get your money?
Could get my money?
Yeah, if I created a startup,
right?
Can I get your money? How?
Well, unfortunately, right now we don't invest in China directly. Yeah. We may have one investment, I think, here, but I'm usually focused on the U.S. I think the companies I talk to in the U.S. that I'm most interested in working with are ones where the entrepreneurs are flexible in the thinking of how they look at modeling the business and
using your metrics.
It's not so much the metrics as the methodology. I really kind of think about, so I'd like to work with people who feel confident about the ideas that they're putting together, but also humble about how effective they are each time they try and build something. And so you want to work with people who are strong-minded and creative thinkers, but also are willing to sort of, test their guesses and to see whether they're actually working or not. So many times I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs who are very stubborn and want to sort of, and you know, stubborn can be a good quality for an entrepreneur. You have to ignore a lot of other people's opinions to be successful as an entrepreneur. But I think it's important to second guess yourself and measure that with data, I think. And that's an important character trait that I like to work with.
Okay. If you invest like 10 or 20 companies and most of them die, but few of them survive. Do you think
typically
it is,
how it is?
yeah.
Well, I don't know too many investors and venture capitalists who are successful at more than a third of their investments. Typically, the success rates are less than 50% for most venture businesses. But I think, you know, in one sense, I try and have a theory of investment that's similar to the other things that I talk about, which is most times we make a lot of mistakes. And so understanding how to be successful is a process of trying a lot of things and continuing to iterate. And so when I make investments, usually my best guess is I'm not going to have a correct choice more than 1 out of 3 times. But if you're doing it correctly 1 out of 3 times, that's actually a pretty good rate. So I think the theory is to invest small amounts early and then to watch how the company does. And when they are successful, then to invest more and see how they do and then invest more. And so many, in the type of investments that I do, they're very small. So most VCs in the U.S. are typically investing at $1 to $5 million levels. Most of what I'm doing is at around $100,000 level. That's very early. And so it doesn't require a lot of capital for me to make a lot of bets. Most VCs probably only make 3 or 4 investments a year, possibly even less. And I'm doing more like 1 or 2 a month, which is, it's different. You know, you don't have as much time to work with each company, and you have to be sort of tough on the ones that are working and not working in how much time you're able to spend with them.
Yeah. Besides money.
Yes.
What else do you bring to the startups? I mean, do you help them?
To be very honest, not a lot. I think it's always important for the investor to understand that it's 95% about the entrepreneur and not about the investor. To the extent I bring anything to the table at all, my expertise is probably more around marketing and product ideas. So I used to be a developer engineer many years back, but I think much of what I try and work on is around the way the user interface and design experience works from a consumer's perspective, and how to think about online marketing ways to acquire customers, which is not a traditional area of expertise for most VCs. So I'm a little bit maybe different than the average VC there.
Yeah. Do you have any words for Chinese startups? How to success?
I don't know. I think most Chinese startups are doing pretty well, so I don't think they need to take a lot of lessons from me. I think what's fascinating about China is there's a lot of people out there who are really doing great things and are very active entrepreneurs, and that's just a tremendous opportunity for the culture and for other people to learn from. So I'm happy to be here to learn more about what makes China focus on how to make money creatively from the user base, which has resulted in probably very, in my opinion, much stronger business models for those companies. But I don't know. I think there's a lot to be learned from the way that Chinese entrepreneurs and internet businesses are being built.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.